Donald Trump's home was raided by the FBI, as I'm sure you are aware. And there's been just an insane explosion in right-wing media after that, calling it the biggest blank in history, the biggest fraud, the biggest witch hunt, all of these things. And I just kind of want to go through all of the different responses we've seen. Obviously not all, but specifically a montage that was put together of Fox News and how livid they are about this before we've really gotten any details to know if this is rightful or not. And so that's a big point I want to make. And we have a segment later in the show where a Fox News contributor actually makes this point, and Janine Pirro does not like the person making that point. Hey, and here's the point. Hey, how about we just wait to figure out the details of why they raided the home and then decide if we're outraged or not? Because maybe there's a very good reason. Maybe they found something very incriminating beforehand, and that's why they had to do this investigation, which I think is profoundly reasonable. And maybe after the details come out of this, we'll understand that it wasn't reasonable. That's not my expectation, but that could happen. Oh, that raid was for nothing now that all the details have come out. But let's just wait. Last detail before we jump into watching this Fox News montage. Donald Trump, there's been some conversation about how Donald Trump has the power to release the information about the warrant. So he could explain, because he has a copy of the warrant, what the specific reasons they cited for needing to do the raid, what they were looking for, all of those things. And he hasn't done that. So it's leaving it purposefully even more confusing and allowing kind of right-wing media to make a narrative to their liking. And one last thing, and I promise we're going to get to this. I really do think increasingly it has to be something more than just the classified documents situation. Obviously that is a law, and he would, in theory, need to be getting legal trouble for that. I don't think that warrants a raid, but if they're looking for something more, that would make a lot more sense to me. And that's why I think we should wait for the details to come out, conservatives, before we freak out. Anyways, let's go ahead and watch this. This is a little summary of Fox News' response to the raid.
The FBI is corrupt.
You used our flag as toilet paper.
This is going to absolutely enrage the country.
It almost feels like a preemptive coup.
This is the worst attack on this republic in modern history.
Every single person involved in this needs to be fired immediately.
They say banana republic. I think it's an understatement, because it really feels like we are there and beyond.
This is meant to prevent Donald Trump from being able to run again.
And then when the left starts whining in the media, fire 100 more the next day.
To dismantle the FBI. And
can't be this nice guy routine where we're just, oh, let's be friends.
Do not even let them breathe. Everyone has to go.
This is the Rubicon being crossed.
But the real target of this investigation isn't Trump. The real target of this investigation...
We'll continue in a second, but what she's about to say, the real target is you, has been a talking point as well. No, I think the target is Trump.
Is you.
You do not live in a constitutional republic anymore.
To defund the FBI.
This is something we've never seen before. This is something that is outrageous.
This is some third world bullshit right here.
The guy right now is the Gestapo. The FBI is the Gestapo.
The rank corruption of the D.C. establishment.
And the usage of the FBI in this way is really the nail in the coffin for so many Americans.
This is very scary. There is a trend. Never before used statutes used in a fashion to go after who? Political enemies.
We don't live in Cuba. We don't live under Kim Jong-un.
Okay, so just an explosion going on there at Fox News. And again, I'll say, there's some conceivable future where the specific details that get released make it clear that maybe the raid was overboard. Again, that's not my expectation. My understanding of the FBI and the way that they operate and the processes you'd have to go through to get a raid like this approved is very, very stringent. And for them to feel like this is worth it, they're going to have a lot of evidence, have a lot of reason to believe that a raid would help in their investigation in a significant way, and their investigation being significant enough to warrant this. And again, I'll say it will come out. We will understand all the details eventually. We just kind of have to be patient. And so while I understand kind of honestly media on both sides, their whole mission is to crank out outrage for their side. Oftentimes you get situations like this where you kind of want to just tell them all to wait, but they have 24-hour news cycles, and so they can't really wait. So they got to give you something. And so for the Fox News crowd, crowd. They got to give you outrage. But what I feel is unfortunate is they'll create a narrative about how, oh, he just accidentally took one box of documents home. It wasn't even him. It was his assistant. And now they're raiding his home and it's just a witch hunt. And then whenever the full story comes out, whatever it ends up being, they probably won't tell that story very clearly to their audience. So the audience is going to be spinning and angry about something that they're not fully informed on. And so I just encourage, once again, if you are on the right and you feel like this is crazy and unconstitutional and unwarranted, just give it a second. Because I think even the crazy FBI, as y'all are being told, understands how serious it is to raid a former president's home, and they know they're not going to do that, or they shouldn't do that willy-nilly. And so I feel like they're only doing it if there's something really serious that they were looking for. It's my true belief, but we will continue to follow it to see. Just to close out this segment, this is not relevant, but I just saw it in my prepping trying to find good Fox News moments, where Mark Levin, you could just tell, tensions are running high over Fox News, is ranting on Sean Hannity's show. And you know, sometimes when you're nearing the end of a segment on cable television, they'll start playing the music and playing it up kind of like at the Oscars. They started doing that to him and he got so upset. Let's take a look.
Try and destroy Trump. They had conducted a criminal investigation. They failed. They have an investigation in New York with the Attorney General that's going to fail. They have a Democrat. Oh, Christ. You're cutting me off early. I'm done.
I'm not trying. No. Finish that thought. Last one. You were talking about you're going to refer to Atlanta. All right. Sorry. Great one.
Atlanta, Albany, Washington, all of it.
So awkward.
The great one.
Ooh. That hurts. And then to finally close out this segment, I mentioned yesterday when talking about Fox News' response to this, how they've been bringing up nonstop other topics besides the raid that are in their mind somewhat related. And what I kept saying is, if you want to talk about Hunter Biden, maybe there's some stuff there, investigate it. I have no problem with that. If you want to talk about Hillary Clinton, okay, but that's not relevant to the discussion of the raid of Donald Trump's home. And I was right about that just based on watching kind of a little bit of the coverage of it. And here's a chart that shows that. The mentions of Hunter Biden and Hillary Clinton on Fox News, look at this, just obviously are way more than MSNBC and CNN. That makes sense. But if you look at Fox News, between 7 p.m. Eastern on August 8th and noon on August 9th, they mentioned Hunter Biden 58 times. 58 times in less than a day. What are we doing, people? So yeah, you can tell lots of whataboutisms going on there, lots of outrage, and we will try to reserve our full judgment of this raid until we have all the details.